Hey guys, Matt here. So for today's knife review, I'm going to start off with a little kind of philosophy, a kind of analogy. And if you guys hate these, let me know. I like giving them because they give me kind of metaphors and analogies to work with and to roll on to the knife review with. But there's a concept in kind of story, in film, in writing, and things like that, that an original idea does not a good story make. So a film can have a really, really unique premise that's very interesting and might draw people in, but the story can be executed poorly. The characters are dull. It doesn't pay off in the end. The climax isn't well done. Things like that. So a movie or a book can be really, really intriguing, but not be executed well. Today, we're talking about a knife that I think falls along those categories. And today, as you've seen in the title, we're talking about the Ruger 2-stage. This is by CRKT. So guys, I have a love-hate relationship with this knife, and we'll kind of get into why. First of all, let's go over some specs. So the Ruger 2-stage has a 4-inch blade. It is available in both a plain edge and in these VEF serrations. This is 8CR13 MOV steel. Blade thickness is 0.2 or 5.08 millimeters. The overall length of the knife is 9.44. Closed length is 5.47. And the weight is a whopping 8.1 ounces. The handle is made of stainless steel on this side and then anodized aluminum right there. And it is obviously a folding frame lock design. So guys, why do I have a love-hate relationship with this knife? Well, it's because it's just like one of those stories that isn't executed well. I think that the design of the Ruger 2-stage is awesome. I love this design. It is a nasty looking tactical blade. I mean, when you pull this thing out, this thing looks cool. It looks like business. Not only that, but I love VEF serrations are one of the few kinds of serrations I really like. I like the design choice of going with stainless steel on one side, but then saving a little bit of weight by using aluminum on the other side. I like this Tanto blade. I usually prefer clip or spear point, but I think this is a cool looking Tanto blade. It's got great jimping. The design, it's got a cool aluminum glass breaker on the bottom. The clip is well designed, I think. So I love the design of this. I think it is a super cool knife, but it has been executed poorly. So let's get into why. So first we'll get into what I like. I kind of touched on it. I love the design of this. I love just about everything about the design of this. The handle is comfortable. The jimping is fantastic. It lets me dig in really well. I love that blade style. Love those VEF serrations. The pocket clip isn't fantastic, but it still is good, and it works well. I think it was a smart idea to use aluminum to save some weight on one side, and I'm glad that the glass breaker is aluminum as well, and it's not steel. There would be no point in making a steel glass breaker. Also, the flipper tab is really well designed as well. Some flipper tabs I've seen, you can kind of see this one. It angles up, and then it kind of swoops down. I've seen them and they kind of angle like that and it looks like a bird beak almost, and it just doesn't allow for as much purchase. With this, it really works with your finger to pull that down. So I think that flipper tab is really, really well designed as well. I love the design of this. And another thing I really like is the price. At first when these came out, I think they were a little bit overpriced. I saw them for $60, $70, and I'm like, that's overpriced, especially for, a gun branded CRKT. Now, some of these Rugers have been actually pretty good. I've seen some of the M&P knives. I don't love the designs, but these Rugers actually seem to be, there's a decent amount of thought, it seems, put into this. And let me get the designer on this. The designer of this one is, let's see, had it pulled up just a second ago, Robert Carter. Robert Carter, fantastic job on the design. So let's get into what I dislike, because you guys know I do what I like, what I dislike, and something unique. What I dislike is it really has everything to do with the pivot. Now, I'm going to kind of give you backstory on my history with this knife. This is the third Ruger 2-stage I have owned. I'm going to try and get centered with this camera. Let me pull this thing up a little bit. Here we go. This is the third Ruger 2-stage I have owned. If that tells you how much I love this design, that's it. This is the third one I've owned, and the third one I've had the same exact problem with. So the issue that I have with this, you can kind of see the centering. The centering is a bit off. It's not terrible. The issue that I have is I get this knife and I flip it as we do. We like to flip our knives, especially the flipping mechanism. It's smooth on this, it's well designed. There's not much stick to it, and it loosens over time and it smooths out over time. But, you like to flip it and you flip it, and then all of a sudden it starts to get smoother. And it gets almost too smooth, and you go, this feels really smooth for a cheaper knife, which, they're going for $25-$30 now for HCR13 MOV steel, which is, plenty good for that price range. And then you kind of see the pivot starts to move. It starts to move from center more and more and more as it loosens up. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing the blade hit the liner. The pivot right here. And I've taken this apart and I've used Loctite. I've used everything. The main issue I have with this, in it being designed this way, that screw is way too short. And there's something about it, but it does not grab the blade and hold it the way it should, even with Loctite. So after 50 flips, not even, after 30 flips, this thing comes out from center. After 50 flips, it starts hitting the one of the handle scales. And guys, that's unacceptable in my opinion, even for a $20 knife or even for a $30 knife, especially not at the $60, $70 range. Rats don't do that. Ontario Rats, they're produced in Taiwan. They're overseas produced. They're Aussate steel, just as good as HCR, if not better. I've never seen a Rat do that. And I love the design of this blade, and I think it's so well designed in its concept. But that pivot, it hinders it from being a knife that you can carry around and get longevity out of, because after you flipped it a few times, you have to tighten it again. And then it's not nearly as smooth. And the only way it really seems to smooth out is when it starts to come uncentered and then it starts to hit the other side of the blade. You can kind of see how uncentered that is. And if I flip this 10 more times, which I might here on camera, I might be able to kind of show you how easily it works out and starts hitting the side of, the handle scale. So guys, that's the biggest issue I have with this knife. I think the design is so cool, and it kind of drives me crazy because I love the design of this knife. It's a knife I want to carry, even though it's crazy heavy. And we'll kind of touch on that here in a second. But I can't get over that it loosens so easily. And that screw, it is so short, that pivot screw. And I think that's what it is. So I think the design choice, I'm not an expert, but it seems like if they had allowed for more room in the pivot, put some Loctite on there, then this knife would be able to stay tight and not loosen up so much. But as you can see, even as we've just pivoted, you can even see my hand through that one side. So it's smooth right now. Yes, it is. But, it's starting to move in the direction of hitting the handle scale. So that's the biggest thing that I don't love about it. I think it's executed poorly. Another thing that I don't love, but I deal with because it's part of the design, is this is an 8.1 ounce knife, guys. 8.1 ounces. This is kind of what I would recommend getting instead of getting that knife because it's not executed well. This Cold Steel Voyager, it's the same length blade. It's got Grivery handle scales. It's probably a stronger knife. I would say definitely with that triad lock. These are going for about $50. You're spending about double, but it's not that much more. And this thing weighs, I think, 4.5 ounces. It doesn't weigh much more. I don't think it weighs any more than 5 ounces. So you're looking at like half the weight for the same blade length, better design. It is a different animal. It's a thumb stud opener. It's a back lock. But just to give you an example, this, I I just got this Ruger LCP, another Ruger product. You know, you guys know that Ruger LCP, this is a sweet one. Stainless slide, aluminum, stainless trigger. This is like 9.2 ounces. So you're looking at about, or 9.4 or something, you're looking at about an ounce more for a 380. It's not a 9mm, but still, guys, I mean, it's a heavy knife. And, you know, that's how stainless steel frame locks are. They are very heavy, so I get it. But the thing I can't get over is that poorly executed pivot screw. Yeah, it's actually happening right now. So listen to this. Here, I'll do this next to the mic. You can kind of hear that sliding against the handle scale. So I can't get over that, guys. Something that unique about this knife is the design, and I know we touched on it on the positive aspect, but I just love the design of this knife. I think it's unique, it's cool. Like I said, it looks like business. It looks tough. And I guarantee you, if it didn't have that pivot screw issue, I mean, this is a stainless steel frame lock. It weighs a ton, but this would be a tough knife that could handle mostly anything that you put at it. So that's what kind of frustrates me is the design is so cool. It's so unique. I think it's very well thought into aside from that pivot screw. And just like those movies that have those really cool ideas, you know, there are a lot of YA novels that had really cool concepts, really cool worlds that they built, but some of them kind of fell short on the execution side. So, you know, I feel like this is what happened with the Ruger 2 Stage. You know, they had this really cool design, but they fell flat on that pivot issue. And it really upsets me because I love this knife and I would love to carry this thing around regularly and it be one of my knives, you know, my EDC rotation. But with that design, you can hear that. I just can't. I can't carry it around because I do not trust the knife to hold through. Anyway, I don't like doing negative reviews, guys. I don't. I want to like a knife so badly. I mean, it doesn't. You know, it's not fun reviewing something negatively because it doesn't mean I'm enjoying the product. It means, you know, I'm not enjoying it. It means I don't like it. And so next review I do, I'm sure I'll do something positive. Let me know if there are any knives that you want me to review. And hopefully the next CRKT I get on table is a lot better. It performs a lot better. It doesn't have those pivot issues. But anyway, email CRKT or contact them and let them know about the issue if you had this issue with the 2-stage as well, because I would love to get that pivot issue fixed so that I can buy one and really, really enjoy it. Anyway, guys, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.